So in this video, I am going to explain to you how we are going to use our magic diamonds to do something called factoring. Now, if these magic diamonds, which look like this, are unfamiliar to you, I would suggest that you go back and watch the previous video. Just as a quick recap, remember our magic diamonds, we're going to have a number on the left and the right. We're also going to have a number at the top, which is going to be the product of my number on the left and my number on the right. And then I'm going to have their sum on the bottom. So in fact, a magic diamond has 4 numbers. So we're going to use these magic diamonds when we look at something called quadratic trinomials. Remember that tri implies that I have 3 terms, which I do have here. This here is what we call our quadratic term. And that we know that it's a quadratic term because we see the x squared. That's the most important part here. And the quadratic term, remember, is going to tell us that I have a parabola, which is either my smiley face or my frown. So you have mostly seen standard form trinomials for quadratics, which look like this on the left there. And we're now going to look at something called factored form. And we are going to be able to use our magic diamond in order to be able to factor the trinomial. So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to tell you that your B term here is going to be the sum in your magic diamond. So I'm going to put the 5 down here. And your C term is the product. So I'm going to put the 6 up here. So I now want to find what 2 numbers multiply to 6 and add to 5. Well, that's going to be 3 and 2. So when I fill in my factored form over here, I'm saying x plus 3 times x plus 2. Or it's worth noting, because of the commutative property, I could switch the order. The order does not matter. If we wanted to check that these were in fact the same, remember you have the strategy of FOIL. So when I do my firsts, my outsides, my insides, and my lasts. And when I combine my like terms, I end up with x squared plus 5x plus 6. So we got it right. So this here, either of these, is the factored form version of your standard form. Let's do another one. So remember, the B is your sum, so 3 goes on the bottom, and C is your product, which negative 10 is going to go on the top. So I'm going to have 2 numbers here. This is going to end up being 5, and this is going to be negative 2. So when I fill it in, I'm going to have x plus 5 and x minus 2. Again, we could FOIL to double check, and I would get x squared minus 2x plus 5x minus 10, which ends up as x squared plus 3x minus 10. It's worth noting that this approach of using our magic diamond to connect our trinomial to then my factored form only works when we have an a of 1. So if you see trinomials that don't have an a of 1, you're going to need to use a different approach, which you'll learn later in the week. So one more. Sum, product. So I have negative 9 and 18, which means I'm going to have negative 6 and negative 3. So I have x minus 6 and x minus 3. I now want you to try each of these. I want you to pause the video, try the green, the orange, the red, and when you come back, I will reveal what is under the answer box. All right, here's the green, here's the orange, and here's the red. So, do you remember all of those moments this year when your teachers have quickly solved quadratic equations in our heads while you've been doing the quadratic formula? Well, today's the day where you get to learn our trick. So right now, you know that if you see an equation like you see on the left here, you know that you're going to use the quadratic formula. You're going to set it equal to 0, and then you would identify a of 1, b of negative 12, and c of 20, and then you'd go do your quadratic formula. Well, there's a trick, and here's the trick. Just like the quadratic formula, when I have factored form of my trinomials, I'm still going to set it equal to 0. That's what we do whenever we're solving a quadratic equation. Okay? Now, hopefully there's some light bulbs going off in your head, and you're going to tell me that this looks very similar to ZPP. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break it into my 2 equations. I'm going to have x minus 10 equals 0, which is going to give me an x of 10. And then I'm going to have x minus 2 equals 0, which is x equals 2. So in all of those moments when your teachers have been doing the quadratic equations in our heads, solving them, we've been factoring them and then solving them. Let's do one more. So I'm going to set this equal to 0, and then I'm going to solve. And if you can do these in your head, that is awesome. And know that x equals 7 here, and then I'm going to have x plus 4 equals 0, and then I would have x equals -4. So a few more practice for you. Pause the video here and try the purple, the teal, and the pink, and then I'll reveal the answers. So here's the purple. I'm going to give you factored and the solutions. And here's the teal. And here's the pink. All right, that's it. I hope that helps. I hope it makes sense, and I hope you're relieved to now know our trick. And if you have any questions, let us know.